All right.
Back. Ooh, let me see about getting Kyndra on here. Technology won't let me be great today. Like, we legit just had a whole conversation about this. Oh, there she is. There's my girl. Hey.
Right.
I was
Great.
like, listen, technology just won't let me be great this morning. I'm like, we just had a whole conversation about this. The people think I'm lying. They're like, Takiya, you don't know Chef Kyndra. You're a liar. This is the second time you've got on and she's not there.
Good morning.
Good morning, babes. How are you?
You know, I'm trying to pull myself together. My voice is a little deep right now. You're the first person I really talked to. So,
That's all right. It's well, to let the people know, we're on two different no, yeah, we're on two different time zones right now. Kyndra is currently on the West Coast in UNLA right now, and
yes,
I
Newport
am
Beach.
on,
Yeah.
yep, Newport, yep. And I'm on the East Coast. So it's super, super early for her. So I just want to just thank you for being up this early and taking the time to do this. So,
Of course.
yeah, so we're going to hop in because I'm not going to hold up much of your time. Just I'm going to introduce you and let you talk to the people. We're going to ask 10 questions. Takiya Talks 10, which is just 10 questions where we engage a little deeper about who you are and what you do as it pertains to different experiences. So I'm going to let you open up and just introduce yourself a little bit, tell the people who you are and what you do, and then we're going to jump to these questions.
Okay. So I am Chef Kyndra, and I'm a chef. No, just kidding. I
Done. Interview done.
I curate luxury dining experiences, teach cooking classes, and just try to continue to grow and be great.
Yeah, she's being modest, guys. She's being super modest. So she is Chef Kyndra. She is a celebrity chef. She has been featured in Essence Magazine, Eater LA, Travel Noire. She is a graduate of Le Cordon Bleu. Is
Hmm.
that correct?
Yes.
Culinary school. She has been, her work has been called upon by Kris Jenner, famously known for Keeping Up with the Kardashians and that whole tribe, mama management of that. She has underground supper clubs, which we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about that. So I'm going to go ahead with question number one because talking about it, I don't want to talk about all the questions. I'm going to give you room to answer that.
Okay.
So first and foremost, Kyndra, what inspired you to become a chef and how did your culinary journey begin?
So I grew up with living with my grandmother, and she's Panamanian. So I had two grandparents, my mom's mom and my dad's mom, but we lived with my dad's mom. And just watching her growing up cooking, I didn't realize that it was like becoming a part of me until I was on my own and I went to school for something completely unrelated to culinary, but always found myself wanting to cook for people and wanting to entertain guests. And then I just made this decision after getting my bachelor's degree in counseling, like, hey, let's go to school again. And decided to go to culinary school. And it was the very first day that I realized that's what I was supposed to be doing.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Like that wasn't even like a childhood vision. That's not even what you
No,
grew up with.
not
I
at
mean, you grew up
all.
immersed in that culture and surrounded by
Yes.
that, but it was not like this is what I'm going to make a career out of. This is my
Right.
dream. That is
Yes.
so cool. So I love that because that speaks even more to the fact that it's become a passion of
Hmm.
yours. And I love that. I love
Definitely.
that. So, how did the concept for the Underground Supper Club come to life and what makes it so unique? So, tell us a little bit about what is the Underground Supper Club first and
Okay.
foremost, and how
Okay.
did you come up with that concept and why is it so unique?
Okay. So the Underground Supper Club, it's a dining experience. So I don't call it just a dinner because there's things that are incorporated into each supper club. There's live music, there's always some type of entertainment, there's always some sort of surprise. Um, and the reason it came about, it's twofold how it came about. The first one, it's about my family. So my mom has a very big family. She has 11 siblings. And we used to always get together for family functions, and it was like all the aunties would cook a different dish, the uncles would be playing cards and listening to music, and it was just this vibe of like family getting together, learning experiences, sharing. And so that was one component. The second component was there's always different restaurants opening in cities, and the vibe is beautiful, it's pretty, but the food doesn't match the vibe. And
Mhm.
so I wanted to blend those two concepts together, bringing people together. Instead of the aunties, I bring different chefs together, and I have different music experiences, things of that nature. And then I wanted it to be flavors and food that people remember, not just a pretty location. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So
yeah.
it's that combination of both that made me want to create the supper club.
Nice. And your underground supper club, is that specifically in one location, or how does that work? Do you travel to different places, different locations? What's the vibe?
So it originally started in Los Angeles, and then there were a few others that joined the supper club with me, and they wanted to be with me regularly. It was never my intention to have the same chefs. I wanted to have different chefs that could introduce their brand, their vibe. And with these chefs, they were all from different states. And that's where the idea of going to each person's state came from. Things didn't work out with us as a group, but I kept the concept because I was getting people messaging me like, "Can you come to my city?" or "What about
Mhm.
my country? Like, can you do this?" And I'm like, you know, why can't I? Like, sure, let's
Mhm.
take this thing on the road. And so that's what we've been doing.
I love it. I love that. So, do you have any upcoming underground supper club events?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
So we have two coming up in May, which is unusual because usually I only do one a quarter, but something great came up. And so we have Puerto Rico and Los Angeles in May. Then in October, we will be in New Orleans, and which I've never been to New Orleans, so I'm
Okay.
excited for that one. And
Okay.
then in December, we will be in Houston.
Nice. Okay. So, May, Puerto Rico, Los Angeles, New Orleans in, you said
October.
October,
Hmm.
October, and then what was the last one?
Houston in
Houston,
December.
which is you're between LA and Houston right now,
Right,
correct? Awesome.
correct.
Okay. Okay. So, what are some of the most memorable dishes you've created for the supper club?
I think you might be shocked about this one. So the last supper club that I did, I wanted to create a vegan dish. I'm not a vegan, but I find that people don't really make vegan dishes upscale. It's really
Mm-hmm.
hard to. And I wanted people to know that you could have something that was upscale, very beautiful and taste delicious, and it still be plant-based. So I wanted to add some Caribbean flavors, and I took king oyster mushrooms. I cut the stems to look like oyster or to look like scallops.
Mm-hmm.
You soak them in water and they soften up to give you that scallop texture. Then we scored them so that when you seared them, it had that nice deep color on there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I made like a Thai coconut curry sauce to go with it. I make my own curry spice blend.
Oh
So I
my
put that
gosh.
curry spice on there, seasoned it up, and then it was garnished with a Thai basil and plantains. And it was that dish, people were really shocked because they when they heard vegan, people were like, but then when they tried it, they said it was so different and really good, and everyone ate it. So that
Yeah.
was really exciting.
Girl, I cannot wait. So I am looking forward to it. And we'll talk about Puerto Rico a little more because we'll be there at that experience. And I'm so looking forward to your cooking and just the food. That sounds so delicious.
Thank you.
So how do you curate the menus for each event? Do you follow a theme, a season, a mood, or is it just, you get in there and what hits you, that's what comes to mind?
That's a a good question. So I do like to keep it one seasonal. So if we're in spring, then I tell all the chefs, because I do collaborate with other chefs, to keep it seasonal. So
Mhm.
spring. And then for me, if we're traveling, I like to go to what's local, or, we did one in Atlanta, and I know peaches are, something from Atlanta. So I wanted to
Mhm.
be creative and somehow
Oh,
infuse peaches into each of the menus. The chefs are all able to create their own menu. It's not necessarily cohesive, because you're kind of experiencing like a tasting menu. It ends up working out, but each chef creates something different. But for me personally, I like to be inspired by the town I'm in and the season that we're in.
I love that. I love that. I think that's a great way to go. So, what challenges have you faced building your brand in the culinary world, and how have you overcome them?
What challenges have I not had? I think, being a chef and trying to do this on my own, I'm the first person in my family to be an entrepreneur on this level, and it's just been hard financially. I think just trying to finance my dreams, because I don't come from money like that,
Mhm.
but I'm also a hustler, and I'm one of those people that I don't give up. So I've reached out to different people about sponsorships, donations, friends that I know, just having them spread the word. Because sometimes people don't realize you don't even have to always give something monetarily. Like, even just spreading the word, you never know who that will
Mhm.
be connected with you, that'll say, you know what? I want to help out in this capacity. And I've been really fortunate to have people get involved in different ways to help overcome some of those obstacles.
I love that. I love that. And you had me at I'm a hustler. I mean, that's what it's about. I mean, true entrepreneurship, you have to hustle. It's not always rainbows and butterflies. A lot of
Right.
times it's thunderstorms and earthquakes, right?
Exactly. Yes.
And so, but having that network is good. And a lot of times, people are afraid to step outside of that network,
Mhm.
but that's how your network grows. And I love that. And like
Right.
you said, it's not always monetary. Like, people can
Mhm.
support in major ways by just spreading the word, by dropping a
Right.
name, mentioning a name. So I love
Yes.
that. I love that so much. That's awesome. Um, Question number 6. Can you share a story or a moment from the Underground Supper Club that truly moved you or that stood out?
Yes. So I will say the very first supper club that I did, the first thing is it made me emotional seeing how many people were there. Because when you have a dream and you have a passion, like, you don't know if other people are gonna jump on that with you.
Hmm.
And it's scary because you don't want to do it, because you're like, what if nobody comes, or what if nobody wants to be part of it? But I just was like, you know what? Tyler Perry, when he had nobody coming in his theater, he still put that show on. So
Yeah.
I said, I'm gonna and channel that. And so I did. People showed up, and I had no idea that there was going to be people from the industry, and even someone from Essence magazine. And so I did not know. I think it was the day or two after the supper club that somebody from DC messaged me and was like, "Girl, did you see that you're like featured in Essence?" I'm like, "Wait, what?"
What?
It
What?
was a complete surprise. And when I saw
Wow.
that article, it literally brought me to tears, seeing someone else's perspective of what I was doing, and seeing the recap videos of everyone having a good time. It was exactly what I had envisioned for the supper club. So
Mhm.
it was
Oh, that's so beautiful. That
great.
gave me chills. I love that. Those moments, like just what you said, you're so passionate and so immersed and so vision driven that you just show up and you do what you know to do. And to
Right.
us, it's like I'm just trying to meet these goals. And it's
Mhm.
like head down in the books that you're so busy you don't even realize that other people are recognizing and acknowledging what you do, and that's what
Yes.
makes it so worth it.
Yes.
And I love that for you so much. I
Thank
do.
you
I
so
love that.
much.
Yes,
Thank
that's
you.
awesome. 7, how has your personal heritage, this is, I wanted to get to this question. How has your personal heritage or upbringing influenced your cooking style and food philosophy? And you touched on that a little bit, but
Mhm.
tell us about your heritage, your roots, your ancestry. How has that impacted you and played a vital role in what you're doing?
Really, my dad's mom, I think sometimes my mom gets a little offended because she's like, "Well, what about my mom?" And I'm like, "But it was my mom's mom who created that culture of
Yeah.
family getting together, the aunts, the uncles, the I have so many cousins, it's crazy." So her side created that, but my dad's mom, the one who's Panamanian, that's where I got something different. You know, everybody was
Hmm.
having soul food, everyone was having this, but my grandma that's from Panama had a different perspective on it. And my
Yeah.
my grandfather, who she married, was from Oklahoma. So she took this spin on like Caribbean and soul food, mixing it together. And then I'm from San Diego where it's like, Latin heavy. And that really inspired my palate. So I
Hmm.
love like fusing Latin and island together. And, I wish my grandmother was still here to be able to see this, but she did know that she played a big role in my inspiration for being a chef and the type of cuisine that I make.
I
So
love that. Listen, I'm gonna take everybody to church for a minute. You said, I wish that my grandmother was still here to see this. There is a scripture, I believe it's in Hebrews. It says, we have a great cloud of witnesses
right.
that are watching us and
Oh,
surrounding us. We are encompassed by so
don't
great a cloud
make
of
me
witnesses.
cry.
I don't, I'm sorry, I had to take it there.
Oh,
She sees it and she is cheering you on and she is living through you. And I just think it's so beautiful. I do. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you cry, but I
no,
wanted
it's
to
okay.
encourage you. I wanted
I
to encourage
appreciate
you.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank
So
you for
I,
that.
I I love that so much, and you have some Irish roots in there too that you
Mhm.
throw into your culinary cuisine and experience, and I
Yes.
love it's just so infused with so much culture, and I love
Yes.
that. I think that's so beautiful. What advice would you give to aspiring chefs, especially women and people of color looking to break into the culinary industry? Because we're not just going to skate over. You are Black girl magic. You are queen. You are doing it. And I love that. I love that for
Yeah.
us. I love that for you. I love it for women.
Mhm.
But I know being an entrepreneur myself, it is not easy. The lines are not even. We have to run the race a lot harder than others. So
Mhm.
what would you offer? What advice would you offer from your experience?
Well, this may not be the typical advice that you think, but based on my experience early on as a chef, I would say number one, having thick skin, because this industry is not for us. I
Mhm.
mean, we're in the industry, but just to be completely honest, my face is not the face that people expect to see, especially with the type of events that I do. And I had to learn early on not to take, I mean, you are going to take things personal, but
Mhm.
I had to have thick skin
Yes.
because my first experience was very horrible as a chef. There was just like a lot of racism. It was a yacht club, and I cried almost every single day. And I'm so glad that I didn't give up. And I'm also grateful that that was my first experience because it taught me early on to have thick skin, to be super prepared, to know what I'm doing, because then I could face all of that adversity. And it still happens, but if I'm so sensitive, you're not going to make it. You have to have thick skin as a chef because not everyone may like your food, and it's not about a reflection of you as a person. Sometimes it's just style. I just
Yeah.
lost an opportunity and I was taking it really personal. And I'm like, you know what? I know that I gave my best effort and I know who I am as a chef.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's just about, something, it's not for that person and you
Mhm.
cannot take it personal. So that's a long answer, but in short, don't take things personal and have thick skin.
Yes, yes. I mean, that's spot on. I live by that. I've had to go through that same thing. Being in spaces and places where I call us the magical unicorn. You
Hmm.
know, you get put in environments sometimes, and people are drawn to that because you are different, and either they deflect that or they are attracted to it. And
Hmm.
but you have to have thick skin. You cannot be sensitive to this. It's not saying you can't feel those emotions. You
Right.
go home, you cry it out, you do whatever you need to do, but you have to get back in there. You have to get on the horse and
Yeah.
keep going. And I mean, you are definitely doing that. And I love that. What do they call it? Shattering the glass ceilings. You know, I
Hmm.
love that so
And always,
much.
always stay true to who you are too. Don't
Hmm.
let the industry change you be true to who you are, because at the end of the day, people love authenticity. Don't try to
Exactly.
be like, oh, I want to be that person, that person. You can be inspired by others, but be true to who you are.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. And something you said also, an experience you just had where it was something you really wanted and that wasn't you weren't chosen for that. And we talked about this like off camera and I said, but your name is in their mouth. Your
Yes.
name is in their mouth and you have been positioned for them to speak of you to someone else and greater doors can open. And we just have to understand that it's a process. It's a
Mm-hmm.
process. And no matter what time or effort you put in, someone somewhere is going to remember you
Yes.
and greater doors will open. And I just think it's amazing. And there's so much more for you on the other side of this.
Yeah.
um with the growing interest in intimate dining experiences, where do you see the Underground Supper Club evolving over the next few years?
So there's a group of ladies, a couple of ladies that are having a retreat in Puerto Rico, which is
Mm-hmm.
inspiring that supper club. And in talking with them, it made me realize that this is something that can be brought to different brands. There's a
Mm-hmm.
hair care brand that came to me, a wellness brand, and they're all saying, I would love your concept with my brand. And I'm like, this could be something, where
Sky's
it's
the
something
limit.
that I pitch to different companies, where I still do the private supper clubs, but this might be something that a company retreat, or, some specific brand that wants to utilize their product as sponsoring,
Yeah.
so I think the sky's the limit for the supper club. This is just the beginning. I do want to take this global. I have a client in Paris that's like, when are you coming here? I have people in Australia, all these different countries. And I'm like, it feels overwhelming, but I think that's a good thing, because if I thought I could tackle it, then I think my vision isn't big enough.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think there's a lot of opportunity for the supper club to grow.
I love that. Say that last line again. If I thought I could tackle it.
It wouldn't be, I don't remember what I
You
said
said, let me tell you what you said, because I heard it. If I
exactly.
thought I could tackle it, then my vision wouldn't be big
Big
enough.
enough.
I
Yeah.
love that. And people need to hear that because there are people sitting right now that are going, I just don't know. They're afraid of that. And listen, if it's, look at faith over fear, okay?
I love
If it
that.
doesn't scare you, then it's not big enough because you're comfortable and you're complacent. And I can tell you, there have been many times I've been comfortable and complacent. I'm like, I'm good. I worked hard for this. I'm going to sit right here.
Hmm.
And then God is like, yeah, no, that's not all I have for you. And then there's more things that are scary and brutal and hard to work through. But then you get to it and you're like, I never would have imagined I could get here. But if you give
Right.
up, if it's just what you said, if you thought you can tackle it, then the vision isn't big enough. So I love that. And you kind of went into the final question, which is outside of the Supper Club, are there any other projects or collaborations you're excited about? And you touched on Puerto Rico. I wanted to
Mhm.
circle and talk about that because that is your next upcoming Supper Club. I had
Yes.
the ladies, the hosts and founders of the Empower Her Retreat, Lana and Gabby, on last week.
Oh,
And so
nice.
just want to let the viewers know this is where you can find Kyndra. Chef Kyndra is going to be at the Empower Her Retreat in Puerto Rico, May 11th through 17th. I will be there at the Empower Her Retreat, May 11th through 17th, with my brand, Experiences by Takiya Talks. And as Chef Kyndra just spoke about, she's looking at expanding and collaborating and partnering. And so doing these events, the skies are the limit. I just
Mhm.
think the sky is wide open for you. And
Mhm.
so, talk a little bit more about Puerto Rico. I think it was Gabby and I. We were like, we're so
Yes.
excited about what you're gonna do with the local cuisine and all of that. So we're
I'm
just
so
looking forward
excited.
to it.
I'm
Yeah,
super
yeah.
excited about Puerto Rico, and someone had approached me, and this is where networking and all that comes into place, because I did a supper club in Atlanta and I met someone who kind of helped me with that. And so she's the one that thought of this and said, I have a question for you. Would you be open to going to Puerto Rico? I'm like, open to? Like, absolutely. I
Girl,
would
my
love
bag is
to.
packed now.
Right. Listen. And she's like, we're doing this retreat, a women's retreat, and we want to just have a chef that can come in and, make things easy for everyone and provide. And that's my love language, like
Yeah.
hospitality, making people smile, making people happy, and showing people that food can also be healing. Everything doesn't have to be smothered and covered all the time.
Hmm.
Yes, that's nice every once in a while, but I like to like the opportunity to be in another place and to shop locally and to be inspired by what they have produce wise. Like it just got me so excited. And while these women are going through these days and just being empowered, like they can also be empowered through their
Yeah.
food and
Yeah.
energized and excited. And that's exciting to me, and I literally cannot wait. I cannot
Yeah.
wait.
I'm excited. I'm excited. Well, and talk about the value. I mean, we're going to close out here in a second, but I want to, if you allow me, I just
Mhm,
want to speak to the women here because we're all about empowerment. We are all about
mhm,
sharing what we do, speaking from a place of where we come from, but there's purpose in this. And I'm all about
mhm,
purpose. And I love what you said about how you got the call about would you be interested in doing Puerto Rico? And you connected with Lana and Gabby. And
mhm,
just again, the power of mentioning someone's name.
mhm,
I didn't even tell you when I found out about it. I was inwardly, I thought, God, I would love to be a part of this because this
mhm.
speaks and resonates to everything that I stand for, transforming women's
Yeah.
lives, retreating and healings, just coming together with the network. That was an internal thought.
Mm,
And then you reached out and said, hey, I mentioned your name to these ladies and they would be interested in speaking with you, and they reached out and we
mm.
connected. And so I just want
Awesome.
to encourage anyone that's watching, like if you are looking for community, if you are looking for elevation, if you are looking for safety, if you are looking for network, this is the group of women to do it with. I mean,
Mhm.
and here's the amazing thing. None of us have met in person yet, right?
No,
None of us
wow,
have
I
met
didn't
in
even
person
think
yet.
about that.
None
That's
of us. That's
crazy.
why I said I'm not even going to skate over that. I want women to understand when women work together, we do
Yes,
great things.
that's,
None of us have sat in the same room
oh,
together. And then you and I also have a backstory. And I won't, because we'll both be crying on here. But we have an amazing backstory as to how you and I were connected, and we'll share that when the time is right. But
mhm.
it's a godsend and it's a blessing. And so, Kyndra, I just thank you. I appreciate you so much. You're like my soul
Thank you.
sister. So tell the people how they can find you, where they can find you. Give us all your connects. I'm gonna put it down in
Okay.
the comments, but tell us how they can find you.
Okay. So my website is chefkyndra.com, and that's Kyndra with a Y. So CHEFKYNDRA.com. And you can go to find me. I have a blog on there that gives you a little bit of information about me. I post things, recipes, and whatnot. Also, the Supper Club, you can sign up for a newsletter there and you'll be in the know. You'll be the first one to be able to get links for tickets. And then on Instagram, also Chef Kyndra, CHEFKYNDRA. I post a lot on there with my events. You can kind of get an idea of what I do. I give you some highlights. I try to. Sometimes I get a little busy, but those are the two places that you can find me mostly.
Okay, Kendra with a Y. Get it right, y'all. Kendra with a Y, okay? And one thing I would be remiss if I didn't say, you had an amazing opportunity. You also were on the Food Network's Chop. So if
Yes.
Kendra's looking familiar to you guys, hello. So we are looking at a real live celebrity chef here. Kendra, thank you so much for taking the
Thank
time. I am so
you.
honored. Thank you for
And
gracing us
you
with
look
your
so
presence.
cute early in the morning, girl. I'm like, you told me you had on the hair. I got this. I don't know
I
what's going
do.
on
I
here, but you look
did.
so cute. Your lipstick, your makeup, your glasses. Like, I love this whole thing, and I need a hat like that.
You need a hat. I'm gonna find you a hat like this. This is literally a 10-minute style. I was like, okay,
What?
I've learned if I put on some lipstick that pops, I throw on some glasses that cover the bags on my eyes and no lashes, and then the hat to cover my growed out roots, we winning.
I needed some color on my lips.
That's
That's where
it,
I
but you
messed
look
up.
good. But I told you that before we got on. I was like, girl, you are naturally pretty. Just get on.
Thank you.
Yeah, you look good. But that's the secret. And I used to not do lipstick without makeup. I used to think it was
You
like cake with no
look
icing. I'm like,
amazing.
how do you put lipstick on with no full face of makeup? And one of my close friends does, and I'm like, girl, you look good. What you put on? She said lipstick. I was like, oh,
You look amazing.
noted. Thank you. You do too. You're glowing.
Thank you.
You're glowing. Well, you enjoy the rest of your day, and you and I will
Okay.
talk later. I really appreciate you, Kyndra. Have a wonderful
Thank
day. You
you.
are
You
amazing.
too.
Keep inspiring. Keep inspiring everyone, women, but keep inspiring our Black and brown girls. You are
Thank
beautiful.
you.
Love you.
Bye. Love you
Bye.
too. Bye bye.